Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my Friday retro review here, which for this one I'm not going to go quite as far back as I have been doing previously. However, if you are new, I like to make these little videos about films that I enjoy and want to share. If you enjoy this one, please give me a little thumbs up and consider both subscribing and hitting that little bell icon to get notifications for when I put up new content, which is usually once or twice a week. That way you can kind of hop in during that first hour because it really does help out the video quite a bit and the channel. Okay. As I said, this one isn't from quite as far back as what I usually have been doing with those Hammer films, but still, this one is 43 years ago. So 1980 for the John Carpenter film The Fog, the synopsis for which is as follows. An unearthly fog rolls into a small coastal town exactly 100 years after a ship mysteriously sank in its waters. So until very recently, this is one of the Carpenter titles that I hadn't seen. I loved, Halloween and The Thing, They Live, Prince of Darkness, all these other films by his. I'd seen a lot of them, but for some reason this was one of the few that had kind of slipped by me. So I finally decided to dive in and check it out, and this really was a great one. So first of all, let's talk about this cast. There's so many greats in this. We've got Adrienne Barbeau, we've got Jamie Lee Curtis, Tom Atkins, we've got Janet Leigh. She was in this little movie a while back called Psycho, I think. Anyways, and many others in this. We even get a little cameo from John Carpenter at the beginning of the film. And of course, being written in part by him, because Deborah Hill had written it with him, as well as being directed by Carpenter. Of course, he does the music as well, so we get that familiar, eerie feel throughout the film as we kind of go through this first evening of strange happenings in this, around midnight as this fog rolls into this town. So we were warned at the beginning of this story. The story's being told to some kids around a campfire about this mysterious ship that had sank, and so it starts to happen at the 100-year mark of the warning about what had happened and almost like this curse. So we're at the 100-year mark coming up, and this journal is found in a church which has writings about what had happened 100 years ago. So through the town, we see some strange happenings starting, glass shattering, strange effects of this fog happening on the town, and even just a strange effect of how the fog is moving about. And eventually some shapes within with hooks that are attacking people. Can't really see what it is. There's nothing clear on that first night. It's just that something strange was happening. So throughout the next day, we're getting a little bit more investigation into what happened. These strange things found on the beach, a missing ship recovered with a body that, although it had only been missing for a short time, looks like it had died a month ago and had been maybe stuck down in the water for that time. None of this is really, making sense to the people of the town, where this is normally, a small, quiet town. So this film moves a lot more like a mystery for the most part, with touches of scary happenings kind of littered throughout. But it's in that mystery where we kind of are learning a bit more about the town, the history of the town and the characters in this film. A lot of the aspects that carry this story and kind of pull us along are on the shoulders of Adrienne Barbeau's character, who is kind of like this DJ host, hosting this session on the radio during that witching hour from, atop this lighthouse. Her announcements, the phone calls that she's having with others, with people on the outside of the station, slowly fill us into what's going on, with the townspeople and these strange happenings. So one thing that really stood out to me is the lack of excitement for most of it. And that's not in a bad way, though. It's just that we have this very slow-moving mystery unfolding with these specks of horror jumping out from time to time. But the real meat of that action-oriented horror aspect stuff doesn't really happen until almost an hour into the film, which is only an hour and 29 minutes, I believe. So for me, that works perfectly. It's kind of like not seeing the shark in Jaws for most of the film. That mystery of how they kind of built this out works better to kind of get me on the edge of my seat and nervous, not having answers to what's happening, not having a clear view of what's happening with these characters. Once everything kind of finally amps up, it sticks out a bit more, because when that really amps up and we get that more of that horror and action aspect of it, which is admittedly, a bit quick to resolve. But again, even that works for me by the time things are wrapped up, because by the time it was wrapped up, I was not calmed down by it. There wasn't so much going on for so long that I had gotten desensitized to the horror of it and outright, the frightful aspects of the story. I was relieved when their threat was taken care of, and we saw kind of who survived when they had dealt with everything and all is well, and the end credits had rolled, but I was not calm by that point. I was just relieved that the threat was over. Because for me, those are the aspects of horror that work the most, is a slow, unraveling mystery coupled with this sense of feeling trapped in a situation with no way out, no way to get out of that situation. And this film brought all those feelings in perfectly, that we get things slowly kind of coming out. You're not sure what's going on. You get little bits of horror, and then by the time the real meat of it happens, it's really in your face. It's really scary. It's wrapped up quick, and you haven't even had a time to really calm down by the time those credits roll. I think that worked perfectly. If they tried to drag it on any longer than that, it just wouldn't work. If we had too much horror action earlier in it, by the time we get to that climax toward the end, I don't think it would have been as impactful, because it would have been desensitized to what had been, kind of laid out the entire film before it. But aside from everything that I just mentioned there, this cast obviously did a great job. And their portrayal of these characters really built a connection that was needed to make you care about them. The effects were also done quite well, and not just for 1980. Sure, there are some bits that are maybe a little bit dated here and there, but those more subtle effects, those kind of work a bit better in a dark mystery kind of atmosphere, when they're bringing that to screen. Because it's not too over the top, too in your face. It's just this creepy fog rolling in weird ways through this town, weird shit happening within it. It's a really great way to kind of bring all that to the screen. So needless to say, I really enjoyed this one. I was kind of surprised that I just had never gotten around to seeing it before. I think when I see titles like The Fog, I get it mixed up with The Fog Remake, which I believe had the guy from Smallville in it. And then, of course, there was The Mist, and I just never really just sat down and said, which one's a Fog, which one was John Carpenter, let me go ahead and check that out. But yeah, I liked this one so much that even a few weeks later, I decided to give it a second viewing to kind of take it all in a bit more. But because it was definitely worth checking out, and yeah, that's about it. Because speaking of checking out, thanks for checking out my latest video. So The Fog, as of the posting of this video, should be now available on Shudder in the US. And of course, is available in other rental services out there for streaming. And there's a tried and true old physical media approach. If you're looking to kind of build up a physical media horror library, this one is a really great title to include. Anyways, thanks for checking out this quick little video about The Fog. Like I said, really enjoy it, from 1980, so go ahead and check it out. Thanks for sticking around to the end of this video as well. Be sure to do that whole like, subscribe, and hit that bell like I mentioned, and share this video and channel around. Check out all my back catalog, all that stuff. It really does help out quite a bit, and we'll see you in the next one.